Hello and welcome to Country Living with the Wades. I'm Philip Wade, and today I'm going to tell you about our third raised bed, what we've learned from it and so forth. Now if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out, helps us keep these videos going. So let's get started. This is raised bed number 3, and what have we learned? There was a lot to it, so I went ahead and typed it up right quick so I could just sort of read it. Now, having made 3 raised beds and experimented with some different vegetables, it's time for us to share what we've learned. Raised bed gardens have many advantages. We did not realize how many advantages there were to a raised bed until we made our first one, and then we were totally amazed. So we made our first one in February of last year. We made number 2 in September of last year, and now this is number 3, and this is middle of March. Well, actually today I think is the 22nd or 23rd of March. Um, so in 1 year's time and 12 months, basically 13 months, we've made 3 raised beds and we are thoroughly enjoying it. And with each raised bed, we've made some improvements. So here we go. The first thing that we want to talk about is construction. The raised bed needs to be able to receive full sun from the morning until evening if possible. Now for this one, I had some crepe myrtles over here on this side, one great big one, and it was causing a problem. So I cut it off as close as I could get it to the ground. The problem with crepe myrtles is you can't get rid of them. You can pull it up by the roots and there's still little pieces of the roots. They see sunlight, they'll go ahead and just start growing new crepe myrtles. The more level the ground is, the better. Now this was the most level spot that I could find that was in the area where we wanted to make the raised bed. The more level it is, the less work that's needed to lay the first layer. Now once you get your first layer laid, that's where the real labor is. The rest is just stagger stacking the blocks on top. It's best to align the raised bed east and west, then all the plants will get the best use of the sunlight. Now this one is east and west. The first ones, 1 and 2, they were north and south. And so what happened is, if I had a taller plants in the middle, the plants on the north end didn't get as much sun. And also, if I had a netting over like I have on this one, the accumulation of the netting, looking at it at a long angle, really reduced the sunlight that it would get on the north side. Number 2, plan the dimensions. We make ours 3 concrete blocks wide and 12 concrete blocks long. So it's 48 inches across in the middle on the inside and 12 blocks along on the length. You can make it shorter or longer if you want to, but you don't want to make it any wider than 48 inches. If you make it wider than 48 inches, it's difficult to reach in the middle. Have your construction materials ready before you dig. Knowing the dimensions, plan out the cost, put stakes in the corners. I did that. I put a stake on each corner and I checked it to make sure it was lined up the way I wanted to line it up. I looked at where I had the stakes and I said, yes, this is the best place. So that's where I plan to do it. Currently, concrete blocks cost about $2 each. Do not use cinder blocks if you can even find them. They don't really exist anymore. Concrete blocks are ASTM C90 load bearing. They're made with cement and sand. No cinder and no ash is used in them. Making it 3 layers high, and which is a 12 by 3, 3 blocks wide, 12 blocks long. Cost us about $180 in concrete block. That's 30 per layer. So we had 90 concrete blocks that we used on this one. Hoops. These are the hoops. If you want to use hoops and garden netting, plan for it. We used concrete in our block holes to hold the hoop pieces, and you can see on each one of these I have a small base. You'll see it better in the video. I have a small base for the hoop itself, and the base, all it is a piece of 1-inch PVC schedule 40 that's cut off, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches long, and I just pour the concrete, dry concrete mix. It's already mixed with sand, cement, and pea gravel, and I just pour it in there dry. I don't have to worry about trying to mix it ahead of time. I put the little piece in for the base, and then I just wet it with a water hose. It'll harden up. As soon as it rains the first time, it's all solid, just like leaving a bag of concrete out somewhere. It's going to get hard as rock, hard as concrete. I used the concrete in the holes to hold the hoop base pieces, It also strengthens the walls because this concrete goes all the way down through this section. It ties this block to this block and to this block. So you get that extra strength in there. Not that you really need it unless you're going to run into it with a lawnmower or something that's going to stay here. As an option, if you don't want to use cement on the inside of these, because you're thinking maybe 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, you might move, you might want to disassemble it and reassemble it somewhere else, then look at using just nothing but just your dirt from your lawn, from your yard. Just put the dirt in there, pack it down tight, and put these in there. But then if you do, I would make the base piece, instead of making it 5 or 6 inches long, I'd go ahead and make it about 8 inches long to make sure it's got plenty of strength in there and support to be able to hold your hoops. But then you could do that instead of concrete. Ours is going to be here forever as far as we're concerned, so I don't have a problem at all going ahead and putting concrete inside there. You don't need to cement your blocks together. Now remember, there's a difference in cement and concrete. Cement is the glue that holds the stuff together. All right, the stuff that you're holding together when you're using mortar mix is sand, and that's all it is cement and sand, and that's mortar mix, and that's what's used to go between blocks and bricks when you're making a wall, for example. But if you're just pouring concrete, usually it's going to have cement, sand, and some kind of gravel on the inside, or pea gravel, which is what this is. Now on these, I just use the ready mix type or the quickcrete. It's a pre-mixed in 50-pound bags. I think they're about, right now the current cost is about $3.40 a bag. Some name brands it might be more expensive, but the stuff I used was about $3.40 a bag, and that's what I've just poured in there. Just take it straight from the bag, just pour it straight in the hole. When I'm got my little base piece in there or whatever, I just wet it down with a water hose once and forget it. If you're in a location where your soil is real soft and you're afraid that the blocks might start to sink, you're thinking, okay, maybe I need to put a cap block or something like that on the bottom to make sure the blocks don't sink. Cap blocks are expensive. The most cost-effective way that I know of to do that is go ahead and put your first layer of blocks down. Don't worry about the capstone underneath. And then once you've got them in place and you've got them leveled, come back and take this pre-mixed concrete and pour into each one of the holes about 1.5 inches. Now what will happen is that will get hard, it'll adhere itself to the blocks, and it'll give you a solid bottom all the way around that will not sink. That's a lot less expensive, because one bag at $3.40 a bag will do about 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll do about 4 or 5 blocks by using one bag, and that's about 1/3 of the price of what it would cost it for capstones. I think that's pretty much it for the construction part. Let's go to the fill materials. On the fill materials, we found that it's hundreds of dollars cheaper to buy the fill in bulk if you can. Now, our local nursery, we have a couple of local nurseries here, and they all sell the fill material in bulk. Now, the one that we normally use sells a bulk is by the tractor scoop, a full scoop, and ours is just about a full yard, which is a full yard would be 27 cubic feet. So if you compare that to the half foot or 1 foot bags that you buy at the big box stores to fill in, it would be very, very expensive. I think when we did raised bed number 2, we showed just doing 2 blocks high, that was about a $400 difference in cost by doing it in bulk versus buying the bags. Somebody's making a lot of money on the bags. Our nursery sells it the fill by the bucket, and which is, like I said, a little bit less than the yard. Maybe it's 24, 25 cubic feet. And it's gone up this year from $50 a bucket to $65 a bucket. But you know, you look at the gas prices have gone from $2.50 a gallon to $4 a gallon, you know, in just this last year and a half. So it's crazy. And also with the bulk, if you've just got regular wooden planks on the bottom of your trailer, they can just put the scoops right on that. You almost lose nothing going down the road from the nursery to back to your home place. We get sand, topsoil, potting mix, or compost from our nursery. Now, sometimes they have a mushroom compost, and we've tried that on bed number 1. And bed number 2, we used cow manure compost because that was all they had. And that's what we put in this one. Well, this one I'm assuming will grow just as well as the first one. Now, things that we've learned, we don't have molds here, so we don't have to worry about something digging underneath and coming in. We don't have to spray any kind of poisons in the bottom to kill the grass or anything like that. Uh, Now, if you're in an area that has molds real bad, you might want to look at putting some what they call rabbit wire. It's got the 1/4 inch squares on the bottom. Just lay it on the bottom before you start to put your fill in, and make sure that it covers as well as possible. Um, I've seen where some people are so avid about it, they want to make 100% sure. So they go ahead and they cut everything completely level on the dirt. Then they lay out their wire mesh, and then they start laying the blocks directly on top of that. And I guarantee you that way, there's absolutely no way something can dig underneath and get up into your garden. With that information there, I'll show you quickly how we built this one. Now, when I built this one, I took 3 hours to build all the block to prepare the dirt and put all the block in and line all the block up. Um, and that was 3 hours of me. I'm 71 years old. Now, if I was 25 years old, maybe it might have taken me 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. But I'm going to take my time, just keep going steady, slow and steady. There's no reason to rush on it. It didn't have to be made in a day. And I parked the trailer real close to it, so I didn't have to go very far from the trailer to this. And I did the same thing when I did the bulk material in there. Um, I just parked the trailer on the backside and I just shoveled it from one end to the other. And I just went a steady pace, took my time. I did some one day and I finished the rest of it the next day. So 3 hours to build the base, and then another hour and a half or so shoveling the fill in, and it's pretty much ready to use. Well, this is where raised bed number 3 is going, and it's going east and west, so it gets the southern sun facing it over the full length of it all the time. Step number 2, have all the base materials and stuff ready to begin. Well, I have less than 3 hours in it, and the hole inspector's already checking everything out. Now you notice I didn't put any flat stones down or anything other kind of base underneath the blocks. And there's a reason for it. This ground is very, very hard. It's very doubtful that the blocks will ever try to sink or anything. But now if you're in a situation where you're worried about that possibly happen, there's a cheaper method. Instead of using the flat stones underneath, because they're really fairly expensive, just take each hole and pour you about 1.5 inches of powdered cement in each one. And when it gets wet, it'll harden and it'll make a solid bottom on the bottom all the way around. And it's a lot cheaper than putting in the flat stones. All right, another 15, maybe at the most 20 minutes has passed. I'm putting on the second layer now. TLC is much easier on a raised bed than it is in a regular garden. TLC covers everything from when you prepare the soil until you take the plants out. Looks like we've got a major storm coming through, lots of lightning. They're saying there's a possibility of hail and tornado warnings or tornado watches. So very quickly I'm going to cover the plants I just planted yesterday. Now, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out, helps us keep these videos going.